VikesNow, I am Dustin Baker. This is the Friday edition. It's March 24th. We are less than 5 weeks away from the NFL draft. I'm here with my homie, AMarie, she's an analyst and a radio, is it DJ, announcer, commentator? What do you call
I
yourself?
guess I would be a radio host and producer here in
Okay.
Albuquerque, Mexico. A lot's changed since I've last done content with you. It's been a wild ride, but okay, I'm school fan for life though. Had to reach out to all you guys. I was like, okay, I might be doing this in a corporate environment, but
She's
Vikings Vikings are my priority still.
good.
And they always will be.
She's back and she didn't really go anywhere, and she's going to remain a frequent guest on our show. It's her first time here. So where can the folks, the guys and gals, find you on Twitter?
Yeah, so just it's at part-time bro, part_time_bro.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to tap your Vikings knowledge now because free agency is in the middle of its second wave. The first wave had some meaty stuff for the Vikings. Marcus Davenport, Byron Murphy joined for the defense. Brian Flores was hired about 6-7 weeks ago now. But the draft is what we're going to all start talking about if we haven't already. So I want to know, with the 23rd overall pick for your Minnesota Vikings, do you have an outcome that you want to see or a prediction? What do you got for me on the draft?
Okay. Every day I change my mind, and
Yeah.
it's like, and we're all experts and we think we know. But the biggest concern as the Minnesota Viking fan, even though we focus on Kirk Cousins, the quarterback, the offense, we had the 31st ranked defense and we have a new defensive coordinator. And I want to see us draft some defense first round, especially because we're losing veterans, and it's time, but it's just sad because we get attached to these players like Eric Hendricks, and I was going to have a really hard time with Harrison Smith, so I'm glad that worked out. I have to let go of that at some point, and Zadarius Smith demands he goes somewhere else, so whatever. So I definitely would like to fill that position on the edge or fill Eric Hendricks' role. I don't know if people will agree with me, but I do like Monty Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. These are some top ones. Nolan Smith out of Georgia, an edge rusher. The never-ending story that we need a cornerback. I wouldn't be upset at that. And I know people are losing their mind over Adam Thielen, but a receiver would be a good addition. But you're asking me priority in the first round. I'm definitely going defense, and I would like a defensive tackle or edge rusher.
Do you predict that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah will trade out of the pick like he did last year to stockpile more capital?
Yeah, I actually think he's going to, which is so crazy. And then how fun is this? And for you, because you're Mr. Stat, I always enjoy. I look for it every day, by the way. I wait every day for my Dustin Baker stat of the day, fact of the day. I'm like, God, this blows my mind. I think that he'll trade. And then I have been doing mock drafts for fun every day, and the defense is my biggest concern. And then I keep hearing these rumors we might trade up for a quarterback. And I was like, is that the craziest thought? So now that entered my mind yesterday, but I'm still sticking with defense. But I'm like, oh my God, are we gonna go get a quarterback? Like this would just be the most non-Viking move ever.
And you should come to expect what we consider non-Viking moves, because there is no allegiance from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to the first 60 years of Vikings football. So I can understand why the quarterback thing popped in your head, because all of a sudden, mock drafters, the powers that be, have plopped Hendon Hooker in the first round, which I don't like. But then there are theories that Kwesi, he does have Cousins on the last year of his deal, no matter how you dice it right now. And it's really rare for that to happen for a dude who throws 30 touchdowns per year. So in theory, he could trade up now, because he's going to have to trade up at some point, because if the Vikings roll with Kirk in 2023, which it seems they're going to do, their real bottom floor is about 7 and 10, 8, 9 if things go poorly. And that means they're not going to be able to draft Caleb Williams. So whether it's this year or next year, they're going to have to trade up to get their guy. So there's some sentiment amongst NFL.com or The Athletic that says, why don't they just do it now? And then whoever that guy is can maybe sit for a year.
I think this is really uncomfortable for Viking fan, but I'm just like the same old story, broken record, and free agency in my head has been spinning. And I think the hardest part is for a decade we thought we had teams, we always do, that are going to get a ring, but like it's time to actually, I don't say rebuild, I say revamp. It's just a new era. Like everyone's like, "Oh, we're rebuilding, we're tanking." I'm like, "No, we were 13-3 regular season last year. We're not tanking." It's called having a new coach, a new staff, a new mindset, an offensive minded coach. Like this is just so new for Viking fan, and it's a very exciting time. I'm always a positive Viking fan. I don't know how I'm still positive, but I think it would be awesome if we went after a quarterback.
Oh, likewise. And I
I'm
when you talk
I'm
about
being
the
cliche right now with the defense,
yeah,
the hot defense take. We need to fix the defense after 31st ring. Like, ooh, good hot take. But I actually would love if we trade up and got a quarterback. I have never seen that. I would love it. It would be awesome.
yeah, I'm right there with you. And the only reason when you talk about some of that sentiment of a rebuild, not from your mouth, but from others, is because when players with big sticker shock like Adam Thielen, Eric Kendricks, Patrick Peterson depart, I'd say the casual fans tend to say, "Oh, look, it's a fire sale." In reality, it's dudes with real bloated, backloaded contracts that are hitting the age of 30 that are going elsewhere. So outwardly, if you don't pay much attention, you're like, "All right, all my favorite guys are leaving," and that's true. But you're getting more affordable and getting the salary cap where it needs to be. You spoke about Zadarius Smith about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and 2 weeks, or let's see, 15 days ago, he tweeted, "Goodbye, everybody. Thanks. See ya." And it sounded like he was about to be released. That never happened. So he presumably is either on this pathway to a kumbaya with the Vikings, or he's going to be traded. And the same for Dalvin Cook. He didn't say goodbye, but it'd be very weird for the Moneyball general manager to pay a running back room altogether $20 million. What are your predictions on the outcomes of Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Cook?
So when Dalvin Cook started becoming a rumor, I know that's another player where Viking fans like, "Oh, here we go. It's going to be a rebuild." I'm like, okay, love Dalvin Cook. Loved him. Oh, we've had such success at the running back position in the last forever how long. Running backs have a short shelf life, and they are overpaid now, and they're not what you need, and they're not a priority with an offense right now. And we have good backs with the Minnesota Vikings. And then when I saw they made a deal with CJ Ham, I was like, Dalvin Cook is definitely leaving if they're going to keep with Madison and Ham. We're keeping that fullback position alive. But Dalvin Cook's interesting to me because I do feel, before I get to Zadarius Smith, I do feel that teams have reached out about Dalvin Cook. I just don't think I think we have a really good GM right now that, no, it's not good enough. I've heard Miami's reached out. I keep hearing these Buffalo Bills, but I don't know if it's just sports fans being like, "They're really cool if brothers played together." And I look more at the logical side that like Devin Singletary left, and I was like, all right, who's losing running backs? The Chargers are going to need someone because of Austin Eckler leaving, whatever is going to happen. But with Dalvin Cook, I saw Miami, but then you see they re-signed Jeff Wilson and Mostert. I'm like, okay, the only places I can see Dalvin Cook going now is the Buffalo Bills or the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos need a running back. I think Dalvin Cook would like to play under Sean Payton, but as fans and media and analysts, it's like, okay, we could see them good in their system, but like, what are they going to give us? So the hardest thing with the Dalvin Cook thing is, I'm like, what do teams have? We need like picks at least, or something out of him, because he is very valuable, and I still think he has a good couple years in him, even though he's injury prone. He's not going to get the money he wants though. So I'm very curious. I'm not surprised that Dalvin's leaving. I'm more surprised about Zadarius Smith. I'm like, okay, he's like, I want a new change of scenery. I'm like, you signed like a 3-year, $42 million contract. You're not enjoying Minneapolis? Yeah, the winters suck, but like, you're coming off a really good year. On a bleep defense, but you have Brian Flores now. So I'm surprised that Zadarius wants to leave. I only have heard that he might go the Chiefs or the Ravens. And I'm like, great, those are two great teams to go to. But I am shocked at Zadarius Smith, not so much Dalvin Cook.
And Marcus Davenport is in the house now, at least for 1 year and $13 million. So it makes the likelihood of Zadarius having that kumbaya that I spitballed likely. But it's also weird that he wasn't outright released, because they could have saved 13 mil. So that feels like it's heading toward trade if they don't, have a come to Jesus discussion.
It has must be a trade because I'm like, okay, you all of a sudden want to demand when you're a 3-year contract and you had a really good year in Minnesota. You're on the opposite side of Daniil Hunter. I'm like, what is going? Like, were you just having a bad day? Did you guys get like fight or something? Like, what? And I would be excited. That the fact that we didn't hold on to this defensive coordinator for a couple of years. Like, all right, bad job, get out of here. And got someone like Brian Flores. I'm just surprised he doesn't want to give it a chance because he has a 3-year deal. It's not like he was on a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
it is
that
odd.
one bothers me.
Yeah, and
Dalvin Cook. I know Dalvin Cook. We're just waiting to see who's going to give us the best offer.
On Zadarius, I've jokingly said on the show, it was a very Packer thing to do, just to say on a random Thursday, yep, see you guys. And I just made our eyes roll.
I'm out of here. I'm like, his house is up for sale in Minnesota. I'm like, okay, like, cool.
The other thing on Cook that hopefully is a selling point, if indeed he's traded, is that we know his first and second year in the league were plagued by injury. Missed almost, what was it, 10 games his first year, about the same second year. But quietly, since 2019, he's been one of the more durable running backs. It's just that when he has a little something, we all go, oh, God, here we go again. But in terms of running back durability, yeah, he is. He's pretty. If you run the numbers from the 2019, like he's right up there in games played among running backs. That's just a position that gets beat up.
And the only other thing on that, I'm not surprised by Dalvin Cook wanting to leave because I think we do overpay. It's just the running backs are not going to get money like they used to. They're going to pay the quarterbacks. They're going to pay the wide receivers. And I'm like, with Dalvin Cook, I'm like, I thought he would enjoy being in Kevin O'Connell's system because he's going to be more used as a receiver back. He wanted to be, so I was like, oh, this is going to be great for Dalvin.
Yeah.
Less hits. And then you got Madison and now we've letting go of people and CJ Ham, but so he's going to be great wherever he goes. I'm just like, okay, but what is another team going to give us? And we better get some draft picks out of it.
Yeah. He's scheduled for a $14.4 million cap hit, which is in today's market pretty insane. If he's not like 25, right in the prime of his career, there's only 3 guys that really fetched that money. Him, Ezekiel Elliott before the other day, and then Christian McCaffrey. So I think we are emphatically, the days of paying good running backs are over, except for maybe like the Bijan Robinsons are coming up and possibly Jonathan Taylor if he gets back on track. Adam Thielen, we talked about, he left last Sunday. He said, see you guys, I'm going. He said that I think I could win a Super Bowl in Carolina, and one of the reasons I'm going is because of Andy Dalton, baby. Why on earth did this man choose the Panthers out of all 30 other teams?
Okay, this is what confuses me. I am trying to not take that statement personal. I can go win a Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I guess the Carolina Panthers towards the end of this last season, with the disaster of their coaching staff and their quarterback play and just whatever was going on, they made a run for one of the worst divisions, the NFC South. Okay, good for them. I'm not mad at Adam Thielen. I'm just confused by that statement in a very old backup quarterback like Andy Dalton, who's not going to be their first string quarterback. He's done a really good job of being a backup quarterback. I mean, what a career to have. And I'm not saying he's bad. He's not the worst backup quarterback to have. I think Carolina has made some major moves and is going to be a threat in their division, if that is much to say. But what makes me sad about Adam Thielen is I think he has more chance to win with the Minnesota Vikings than he does the Carolina Panthers. Or there's teams like the Kansas City Chiefs who needed a receiver, or some other teams who more likely have been going to Super Bowls that he could have signed with. So I thought that was a very odd statement. As a Viking fan, I'm very happy for him, but he's old now. I love him. A great story. Minnesota boy. Great moments. I don't even think he's a Hall of Fame receiver, but I love him. Like, I adore him. I think he's a great receiver. He's not going to go be a wide receiver one somewhere and take off. Like, he's getting old. This father time's against you, man. But I think he'll do well. But they're not going to win a Super Bowl. You can save this clip. The Carolina Panthers are not winning a Super Bowl next year. Okay, and Cam Newton's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Sure, bring him back too. You got Andy Dalton. Why not bring it back Cam Newton?
when it was apparent 2 weeks ago today that he was leaving, I think we all just kind of assumed, all right, he'll latch on to the Chiefs or the Bills and go chase rings.
I thought.
Yeah, because that's what veterans do. But what he did was he went and grabbed the paycheck in Carolina and then a place where he'll probably get targets because DJ Moore now plays for the Bears. So best of luck to him. I got 2 more for you, AMarie.
Yeah, no.
This one,
Justin.
you were talking about. You were talking about the smoke of perhaps moving up the draft board to draft Will Levis or CJ Stroud. However,
if we got CJ Stroud, I'd cry. I'd just be so happy. That's not happening.
However, any team in the NFL right now can offer Lamar Jackson about $45-50 million per year, serve up 2 draft picks, which is actually a steal of a deal for a former league MVP. Hope he doesn't get hurt. And then boom, that guy, Lamar Jackson, will lead their franchise. There has been Vegas steam. The Vikings are the 4th likeliest per Vegas odds to land Lamar Jackson.
I saw that this morning.
A, would you like it? B, is there any realism to it? Lamar to Minnesota.
I think there is realism to it. This is such a new GM and coaching staff to me. I'm like, well, we've never done anything like this before. We might get someone on the end of their career, but Lamar Jackson is 26 years old. I know injury prone, but everyone can get hurt in this league. And I don't think that Lamar he's been on a really good defensive team. So it'd be really cool to see him in a high powered offense. So whether he ends up on the Vikes or somewhere else, I would like to see him in a really good offense to see if he can change this narrative that he can't win, which is so weird because he had an MVP season. I know we base everything off playoff wins, but I can see it happening. Is it worth it? Kirk Cousins has been the only time in my lifetime besides I would love to see a good franchise quarterback stay with the Vikings for a long time. That's like really cool.
That's why they don't have a Super Bowl. It's because they can't find it.
We have gone through so many quarterbacks, or they've been busts, or just like we've just been a defensive minded team. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually for getting Lamar Jackson. And I do think it's realistic because he's 26. He's a top 10 quarterback. And I do think he can win a Super Bowl. I think, and I don't think he's a diva. I know this not having an agent really messes with people, but I just don't think he's happy with Baltimore. And I don't think they've just like Aaron Rodgers. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. He drives me up. They haven't given him a lot of weapons or anything. So I definitely could see him under Kevin O'Connell and with good receivers, good running back, good offensive line, even though people think we have going through a rebuild now, which we are not. I'm like, we still have a really good offensive weapons and the best receiver in the league, but hey, whatever. I think it's realistic. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
But if we can afford him, I wouldn't be mad.
It's worth noting that if indeed Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah were interested in this, that's the big contingency. Kirk Cousins can't play on the team with Lamar Jackson. So in theory, Cousins would have to be traded. Cousins would have to be traded to the Jets if the Rodgers thing goes pear-shaped, the Patriots, who may not be married to Mac Jones, the Ravens, or everybody's favorite 49ers theory. And that would mean all you have to really give up is the 23rd pick of the Vikings plus whatever you got from Kirk. Because I'm guessing Kirk would fetch a single first-round pick.
Definitely. Kirk is worth a first-round pick, too. He's not an elite quarterback, but he wins you games. This is so new to me. I'm telling you, I'm very excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, if we get Lamar Jackson or trade up to get a quarterback in the draft, this is going to be the first time in 37 years of being a Vikings fan that I have ever seen this, and I will be just ecstatic. So just,
The good news is if they don't strike on Hendon Hooker in like round 3 or something, or Clayton Tune way in round 6, that would mean that what you're talking about has to happen. Like they're going to, like at this time next year, if they don't do it this year, they're going to draft their quarterback in the first round. So you have some excitement no matter what. The last thing I'm going to ask you, we're covering all the juicy ones, is the Odell Beckham sweepstakes has now lasted about, my goodness, probably a good year. Once his free agency came afoot, and he didn't sign anywhere last year, supposed to go to the Cowboys. They said, no, thanks. And now it sounds like he can be obtained for probably market value, which is 7, 8, 9 million per year. Do you like him as the Vikings WR2 because of the connection to Kevin O'Connell in Hollywood?
I wouldn't be necessarily mad at it, but I rather draft a receiver, and we have KJ Osborne, which I think he's done well, and I think he's earned his place. And we have good tight ends. Like I'm not would be mad at it, but I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Like he's good. I still think he's good, and maybe like a 1-year deal if we're like going if we're going all in like the Rams did. Which again, this is all new to me as a Vikings fan. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just don't think it's necessary. I think we could address other. I think it's not my priority to get Odell. I mean, it's fun, but no.
We're only talking about it for 2 reasons, and that's because Adam Thielen departed, so there's a natural crater at the W. Yep, and then if Zimmer was still on the team, we wouldn't even mention this. But Kevin O'Connell did win a Super Bowl with the man, so I think that's why it's out there. All right, AMarie, I'm going to put you on the list. Yes, I have a list for
Odell Beckham's 30 years old. Okay, he ain't getting no younger. So let's put that into perspective.
I'm going to put you on the list for right after the draft so we can decompress the draft class and kind of scout the depth chart thereafter. Are you cool with that?
Yeah. I'm still Skull for life. Okay, I know I'm big corporate girl in sports media world, but like you guys are still my number one.
All right. Well, we will connect with you in about 5 weeks. All right.
All right.
All right. Take it easy.